Hello and welcome. My name is Katie Grieve and I'm the College and Career Counselor at Berean Christian High School. Thank you so much for joining me for College Night for Freshmen and Sophomore parents. Today I will be discussing what your student needs to be doing to be ready for graduation as well as life after high school. I know that the process can be overwhelming for college and getting ready for that, and I want to keep it as succinct and as non-overwhelming as possible this evening. But I also know that some of you are ready for more information. So for those of you that really like to plan ahead and want all the details at the very beginning, there will be a video, College Night for Parents of Juniors, coming out in about a month, and you're obviously welcome to watch that as well. But this one, I want to not be as much information. So I'm going to discuss what classes your student needs to be taking in high school to meet the graduation requirements, as well as to meet the college application requirements. But I won't be going into all of the pieces of the college application tonight, because that just can feel like a lot, especially to parents of freshmen who just aren't there yet, and that's totally okay. So you can pick up on that in the next video if you would like to do so next month. But for now, we're going to do just the information that you need at this moment. So let me go ahead and share screen with you. All right, here we are. Today, we're going to talk about what does the Lord have to say. We're going to discuss athletics. We're going to discuss my role as well as the role of your student. We're going to discuss the timeline of high school, selecting courses, career choices, and post-high school options, as well as overviews of college, choosing a college, and college entrance exams. So in Psalm 31, 14 through 15, it says, "But I trust you, Lord. I say, you are my God. My times are in your hands." And I just think this is such a comfort, as I know that this can be overwhelming. I know that students get really nervous about, what if I don't get into the college I'm supposed to? And what if I pick the wrong college? And just, it's such a blessing to me to know that God already knows where your student's going to be, and he is going to open up the right doors to put that child where they are supposed to be. For those of your students that are planning to play athletics in college, it is very important that they register with the NCAA and the NAIA by the end of their sophomore year. So if you're watching this and your student hasn't taken care of this yet, and they're on track to be playing college sports, and I'm not talking intramural sports, but I'm talking about competitive sports, then it is very important that you take care of this with them soon. And if you have questions, you can contact our athletic director, LaShawn Wells, and his email address is there, as well as our director of academic affairs, Celia Miller. She makes sure that students are up to date and they're taking the classes that are going to qualify them specifically for athletics. So a few thoughts before we begin. Our school's mission is to develop lifetime followers of Christ. My goal in this, for me, is to provide resources and support for wherever God is calling each of our students to be. So one of the questions to ask is, where does your student's passion meets the world's need? How has God gifted him or her uniquely? And how can he or she use those gifts in order to serve the kingdom of God? Now is a great time for you to have open dialogue about faith and expectations and setting boundaries with your students. It is such a good thing if your student is grappling with adversity and challenges now when they are with you, rather than when they go off to college, because when they go off to college, they will be confronted by a lot of things of the world. And if they've already started having those conversations and they're confident in their faith and what they believe and what standards are for your family, it's such a huge blessing to them. And one more reminder, no grades, no extracurriculars, no college is worth sacrificing your students' spiritual, emotional, mental, or physical health. I know it's easy to say, and sometimes it's harder to work out in practice. But when students come to me and they're telling me they only get 4 hours of sleep every night because they have so many AP classes and so much homework, to me, that's a huge red flag. 4 hours of sleep for a student is not nearly enough. And your student shouldn't be pushing themselves so hard that they're getting sick a lot. They shouldn't be feeling anxious about everything and depressed. And none of that is worth getting into a college or doing another extracurricular or taking another AP class or getting that certain grade. So we just want to make sure that we keep in mind the whole students, because we love these kids. So a few more thoughts on that. Maintaining balance obviously is really important. There should be time still in their lives on top of their AP classes and their honors classes or whatever classes are right for your student. There should still be time if they want to do athletics, if they want to do drama or choir, if they want to hang out with their friends, they should be hanging out with their friends. They should still be going to church. They should not feel that they have to sacrifice church to do homework. That's not a healthy balance. So really, and they should be able to spend time with you as a family and still have time in the summer too. I know some of our students choose to take summer classes. That's totally fine, but it should be because the student wants to be in a summer class, because summer is a time for a break. And so if they are taking a class, it should be because they truly are enjoying the class and they want to do that and not because they feel like they have to. Our minds need rest in the summer, and we just can't go all the time. Okay, the conversation, college conversation is a long one. They're in high school for 4 years. We talk about it for 4 years. I try not to put a lot of pressure on the freshmen because they're still figuring out what does school look like and how do I do high school, let alone college, and what do I want to do with the rest of my life. We don't really have a lot of, we don't really prep these kids to make a huge life decision. Like we're asking a 17 or 18-year-old, what do you want to do with the rest of your life? Where do you want to move for the next 4 years? And that can feel very overwhelming because most of the choices they've made up to that point haven't been nearly as huge as that. And so we want to do everything we can to support them in that. The college conversation is longest for younger siblings. They've watched this conversation happen with older siblings. They've probably been a part of it or on the periphery of it a little bit. Maybe they've gone on all the college trips already with you and visited schools for their older sibling. And especially for those students that are the younger sibling where they've already gone and seen a lot of schools, I think it's really still very important to make it special for them when you're looking for colleges. So make a special, even though they may have seen schools before, make a special trip with the younger siblings when it's their turn to pick out a college, because it should still feel like a special thing for each of them. I still remember when I was a junior in high school, my mom and I drove from here up to Canada and looked at schools all along the way. And we spent like 6 days making this trip together. And I just have so many memories of it not necessarily being a pressure thing, but a time of bonding between me and my mom where like we were talking through so many life things and how do we make this decision and what does this look like? And it just was such a special time. And I think it's important to create those times with each of your students. Avoid the ambush. This conversation about college comes over and over again. There's going to be so many things to talk about. And I think it can really help if you set aside a specific time to talk about it. I've had many students come to me and say, oh my goodness, like I'm walking out the door and suddenly my mom's like, what about this huge college life decision thing? And it feels overwhelming and scary. And oh my goodness, I'm not in the headspace for that. And so if you can set up a time with your student, especially as you kind of reach junior year and you're having this conversation a lot more about college, a specific time during the week. So like, oh, we talk about this on Tuesday nights, or we talk about this on Sunday afternoons, whatever it is. And if there's anything to talk about, that's the time when you sit down and have those conversations. So it's not coming out of nowhere. Now, on the other hand, if your student brings it up at any time, I would always be willing to talk about it, but just so that they're probably already feeling overwhelmed. Juniors and seniors come talk to me a lot about that. I just feel overwhelmed by this whole thing. It's always in the back of my mind. I just don't know what to do. And so if you are not bringing it up when they might not already be thinking about it, finally, that could be really helpful. Also, give your student an out as they get towards the end of high school, as they've applied to colleges and they're waiting for their college acceptances. This is a conversation that's happening all over campus. Where did you get in? Where did you get in? Have you heard from this place yet? What are you going to decide? And telling your student from the beginning that once that we're making this decision as a family, or this is something we're talking about only with our family, can help the students be able to say, oh, you know what? Like, we're just not talking about this until I've made a final decision. So when I made a final decision, I'll let everyone know. But a lot of people, outside people, have a lot of opinions. And so when a student goes to church and the only thing anyone asks them now is what's your major and what college are you going to, which will happen. That is pretty much what some of these seniors say. They're like, that's like the only thing anybody cares about in their life anymore is what their major is and where they're going to college. And it starts to feel like, oh, like what about like how great I did in the soccer game last week? Or what about my drama production? Like these other special things that are also happening to them. But if you can give them an out like that, like we only talk about that as a family. And once I made a decision, I'll let you know, kind of just gives them the opportunity to just say no and close that conversation down. Not every student needs that, but some definitely do. Acknowledge the anxiety, discuss the transition, and hard is not the same thing as bad. A lot of students get really nervous, especially towards the end of high school. Oh my goodness, what if I'm not ready for college? What if I get homesick? What if it's a lot harder than I thought it was going to be? Having those conversations and giving your student the opportunity to talk about that can be really helpful. I have students that sit in my office at the end of their senior year, like April, May every year. Do you think I should commit to a college? Do you think I should just go to DVC? What if I'm not ready? And honestly, the ones that are a little bit more nervous about it tend to make the best transition because they're expecting to be a little bit homesick. They're expecting to have a little bit of anxiety. The ones that are like, I cannot get out of here fast enough. Those are the ones that tend to have a harder time because the homesickness and the anxiety does usually hit them, but it hits them out of nowhere. Okay, dispelling myths. Freshman grades matter. So for whatever reason, Students walk around telling each other that freshman grades don't matter, and that is a lie. Not every college looks at freshman grades when calculating GPA. However, if your student has below a C in any class, they have now eliminated themselves from some colleges, because students are required to have at least a C in every class in order to be eligible for most colleges. So if at this point your child does not, please contact me and I can let you know what they can do to make things up. Students are allowed to make up D's and F's. Your child cannot make up a C because they didn't like their C in biology or their C in freshman English, whatever that is. Only D's and F's are allowed to be made up. Junior year is not the hardest. The jump from sophomore year to junior year is significant. So junior year will be significantly more challenging than sophomore year for most students. However, senior year is at least as hard as junior year, plus we have college applications happening at the same time. And so sometimes students are a little bit surprised when senior year feels harder, but they shouldn't. Senior year will feel harder than junior year. And mailers don't mean the college will accept your student. Once your student takes the PSAT, if they've marked the box that said they would like to receive information from colleges, they will start getting information from colleges via email, via snail mail, a lot of stuff. And just because a school is saying, hey, we're interested in you, they actually don't necessarily know anything about your student besides what they potentially what they did on how they did on the PSAT or what they're interested in. And so sometimes families think that I'm guaranteed acceptance because a school has sent me a mailer. That is not the case. Please do not be fooled by that. Okay, so our different roles. So my role is to guide students to resources for class selection and class application or college application process. I'm kind of like the tour guide on a cruise ship. Like, here, you could find out more here. Actually, a cruise director, that's a better analogy. A cruise director, you can find more information about this here, or why don't you check this thing? I do not do the research for you. I will point you to the research and the information. My job is to interact with students both in a classroom setting and in individual appointments. I meet with our students every year to plan their schedules for the following year. During junior year, I meet with our students twice, once in the fall to plan their schedule for their senior year, and then again in the end of the spring semester to actually put together a plan for college applications specifically to them, where they will hopefully start it in the summer, because the goal is that they will do all of the pieces of their application in the summer between their junior and senior year so that senior year isn't quite as challenging. I also provide emails. You hopefully get my Monday emails, updates from the CCC. If you do not, you can contact Mrs. Schaefer, our registrar. She also puts in all of our email addresses into RenWeb. So that could be why you're not under correspondence in RenWeb. I also put together workshops for students. We do test prep workshops. We do senior summer seminar, college app workshops. We do open labs where I'm just in the computer lab during senior year, and in the fall when they're working on college applications, I'm there. Students come and work. I sit there. They ask me all the questions as they're working on their applications. It's just a time for them to set aside with help, because some of them need help. College fair, we had it in the fall. I hope you were able to make it. It was great. It was outside. Parent nights like this, and then college reps on campus throughout at lunchtime throughout the year. Your student's job is to research colleges, to visit schools, to create a list of 8 to 10 colleges. That's what they bring to me in the spring appointment of their junior year. They complete their college applications, they write their essays, they research and apply for scholarships, and they contact colleges when needed. Sometimes I do this with the student, but colleges don't just talk to me about students. If your student has a question, the student has to be there in order for us to get answers. And a student's ability to navigate this process helps to indicate their readiness for college. So you should not be filling out your child's college applications. I know it's very tempting. Here's the thing you can do. You can do the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid, during the fall of your student senior year. That can be all you, that is your tax information. But as far as your students' college applications go, it really should be them. If they cannot navigate this process, obviously with some help from me, from you, then they're really not ready to go away to college, because you won't be going with them. I will not be going with them. Okay, so a timeline of high school, freshmen. Obviously, you are more involved as a parent their freshman year, trying to move from junior high to high school. But just as a general rule, as high school progresses, your student should be able to progressively be better at doing school alone, as high school progresses. So by the time they get to their senior year, your student should be able to do school pretty independently. You should not be having to be on top of all of their homework, be reminding them about all their tests and things like that. They should be able to function pretty independently. They should be able to get up in the morning and get themselves ready for school, get to school without you having to wake them up every day, etc. Okay, so adjusting to high school classes. This is definitely a time of transition. Freshman year is hard for some students. For some students, it's really easy, but they are adjusting to harder classes probably. They will get a Naviance account set up in the second semester. So sometime during the semester, I will put together their Naviance account and go into their English class, and they will get registered. Naviance is an online college planning tool that I'll talk a little bit more about later, but they will have that account by the end of the school year. They try new clubs and sports and classes. This is a time of exploration. High school students should be able to enjoy trying new things, and they should be looking for the spark. What do they love? What are they interested in? What are they passionate about? Because this can help indicate what they should major in. They should learn to use a planner and manage their time well. If your student does not have a planner right now and they are struggling to get their homework done, if they are forgetting that they have tests, things like that, please go out and buy them a planner. They need to learn to use it and use it well. They also need to learn to manage their time. So if they are not getting things done because they are continually demonstrating overconfidence and how short amount of time will help them do their homework, please help them to get on a schedule where, okay, I come home from school, I have a snack, and then I focus. Our attention spans are not super long. They're about 15 minutes. I apologize. This will be longer than 15 minutes. But you can focus for about 15 minutes. I teach AP psychology, and I tell my students, you can condition yourself to be better at time management, be better at homework. So put your phone in a different room, set a timer for 30 minutes, work for 30 minutes, give yourself a 15-minute phone break or a 10-minute phone break. But doing your homework with your phone right there is probably doing you zero favors. Work on taking more responsibility and owning your own education. These students should feel pretty confident, like I was saying, by the end of high school, that they can do school on their own. Learning to ask for help. This is such a necessary skill, and one that I think even as adults, we really struggle with. If a student is struggling, they should reach out to someone. You're going to be probably the first person because you're their parent, and that's great. But learning to ask a teacher for help, teachers really value it when a student is, again, owning their own education and coming and saying, I'm not really understanding this. Can you please help me? That is very different than a parent saying, my kid doesn't get this. Can you fix it? When a student is reaching out for help, I will tell you that is the first, that's who I want to help first, is the student that is caring and wants to do well in my class. And that's going to get the fastest response. Even my emails, I respond first to students, second to parents, because students are my priority. In the summer, consider taking a class, volunteering, or doing a summer program. These are great ways to demonstrate interest in what you say you want to study. They're great ways to find out what you might want to study. And they're just really good experiences, and having lots of experiences helps us to grow as people. So there's an article here that I've linked, and it will be in the slideshow that will be online. It's from a former dean at Stanford, and she discusses the skills that students need to develop to successfully adult in college, because there's the academics, there is the sports, athletics stuff, but there are also skills like, can I do my laundry? Do I know where to go to ask for help if I'm struggling in a class, or if I'm struggling like with anxiety or depression or things like that? Can I cook anything? There's just a lot of life skills. And she has a really good article that just says, hey, maybe we should focus on these things by the end of high school. Okay, sophomores, take challenging classes that are appropriate to your ability level. This is really important because sophomore year is the first year that we start offering AP and honors classes to our students. And AP and honors classes are harder. That's just the way that they are. An AP class is a college level course, and you are doing college level work with a college level amount of homework and college level vocabulary. So it is important that students are working at their ability level. So if your student is doing straight A's freshman year, they may be ready for an honors class or two. However, if your student is struggling in the classes they're already taking, they should continue to take the regular level classes. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later. They should complete the Strengthsfinder in Naviance. Like I said, Naviance is the college planning tool. There's the Strengthsfinder that helps students identify their strengths and what they're really good at. They should apply for CSF in January. CSF is the California Scholarship Federation. It is not a money scholarship. It is based on scholarship, like good grades, and it is how they earn gold cords to wear for graduation. They have to apply 4 of the 6 semesters from sophomore through senior year in order to earn the gold cords. They should invest in the extracurriculars that they're passionate about. They hopefully have kind of figured out, do I love this sport? Do I love this club? Things like that. And they should continue to invest in those. They should start thinking about college majors and choosing relevant extracurriculars. Extracurriculars demonstrate what interest in what we plan to major in, and that looks great to colleges. But you should also just be pursuing what you love, because high school is a great time for you to enjoy. They shouldn't be totally focused on just college. They should also be focused on, we are living here and now, and let me love the life that I'm living and really get joy. Like, the Lord wants us to be joyful, and we should have joy in what we're doing. It shouldn't just be totally focused on college. When traveling, visit colleges. If your family's already going on a trip, I highly suggest that you look at the schools that are around there, whether that's a drive-through or that's a calling and setting up an appointment for a tour. Start considering the SAT or the ACT. The SAT and the ACT are college entrance exams. Some colleges still require them. A lot of colleges have made them either optional, or they have gotten rid of them entirely. And I'll talk about those tests a little bit more later. But students who are really passionate about taking these a lot of times, oftentimes start taking them in their sophomore year. Take more responsibility for your education and consider a summer job, internship, class, program, or volunteer position. Okay, junior year. So for you sophomore families, this is what next year is hopefully going to look like for you. So taking challenging classes that are appropriate to the ability level. Again, not overwhelming yourself, but challenging yourself. That's important. Complete the career interest profiler and the cluster finder in Naviance. The career interest profiler asks you 120 questions about your gifts, your interests, and your personality, and it helps to recommend careers. What might be a good fit for you. The cluster finder is for students who are thinking, well, I want to work maybe in the medical field. What could I do with that? And it will suggest different careers for you. They should apply for the CSF, California Scholarship Federation, in both August and January. They continue to invest in their extracurriculars. Depth is more important than breadth. You don't need to have 85 extracurriculars. You should be very invested in the ones that you're really passionate about. If needed, begin taking the SAT or ACT. They should start no later than spring of junior year. So if you figured out, once juniors have figured out that they are going to need the SAT or ACT, they should start taking it in the spring of junior year. They're going to choose their potential major and research colleges. Naviance is a great resource. So is niche.com. And then they create a list of 8 to 10 colleges to apply to. And it's really important that they make sure that they have their major. It sounds obvious, but it's not always obvious. Sometimes students forget to look. So 8 to 10 colleges. So when our current juniors come to meet with me at the end of March or April, they will come to me with a form filled out. And part of that is, what colleges do you plan to apply to? Are they UCs, state schools? Are they private schools? And then we will go through making a plan. So by the end of junior year, they should have a pretty good idea of where they're going to apply. It's more important to be more intentional about visiting colleges. Again, if your family's taking a trip, or maybe you purposely take a college visit trip, spring break of junior year is a great time to do this. Usually colleges don't have the same spring break as we do. And so it's a good time where you can visit campuses and see students on those college campuses. And then again, using that summer well. Okay, senior year, again, the challenging classes that are appropriate to the ability level, CSF in August, possibly May if they don't already have 4 semesters of it. They start their college applications by August 1st. This isn't, they start the pieces of the application. This is, college applications typically open on August 1st, and students should be then filling in the biographical information, taking the essays they wrote in the summer and putting them in, taking their activities lists, putting those in, things like that. And I want them finished by Thanksgiving break. This meets pretty much all the deadlines if they finish by then. It also, by finishing by the beginning of Thanksgiving break, students will actually get a break to rest, to have fun with your family, to relax during Thanksgiving and Christmas break. The students that push this off and spend all of Thanksgiving break and all of Christmas break finishing college applications are kind of burning out by the time they start the second semester of senior year. So getting them done by Thanksgiving break, we just take that, all the stress, and smush it a little bit smaller, and then actually get a rest. Write and edit essays. They're going to take the SAT and or the ACT and be done by December 31st of their senior year. That's when it's due. They search for scholarships. They continue their extracurriculars. They visit colleges when their classes are in session. And I always say, during extreme weather, do not if you're going to, we're California people here, most of us, and we just don't have the same weather as other states. So if students are considering going to a school in like North Dakota or some other place that gets some extreme weather, I recommend that they visit during that extreme weather, because if they are, if that's going to be an issue for them, it's better to visit before and know that before committing to that school. Because if my car was snowed in, I just would not be going to class or work. It just wouldn't happen. So, but maybe your kid loves snowshoeing and loves big coats, and that's great. Love it. And then keep their head in the game. It is very easy to get senioritis, get distracted, but they need to finish well. Colleges expect to get this, to receive the student that applied to their school. So if the student applies as a 3.5 student in the fall of their senior year, they expect them to get at least a 3.5 for the rest of their senior year. So letting your grades just crash and like tootle out at the end of the year, that just doesn't work. So they have to maintain who they are. Do not commit to any college you haven't seen in person. Nobody puts their most hideous pictures on their websites. So visit the school, see it in person. And then by the end of senior year, they should be able to do school alone. Selecting courses. So our goal is to set students up for success in courses that are appropriate to their ability level. I was kind of mentioning this before with AP and honors courses. We really don't want students drowning in classes. That is not our goal. We want students to be successful. We want them to be challenged, but succeed. So Berean's classes are college preparatory courses. So we are considered a college prep school, which means that all of our classes are set up to prepare students for college. This is not the case at all of the local high schools. So your students are going to be more challenged in our regular classes than they would be at some other schools. AP and honors classes go beyond that. And people ask me, is it better to get an A in a regular like college prep class or a B in an AP class? And when this question is posed to college reps, they say get an A in the AP class, which I know is not really an answer. But the goal is that students will be successful in the hardest classes they are taking. And so if your student is like working hard for the A in a regular class, have them stay in the regular class if they're working hard for that. If they're like, oh, it's super easy, I got this, like they're really not working hard for that A, then an AP or honors class would be more appropriate for them. Take the next course in the series. So if colleges look to see, okay, so I did Spanish 1, Spanish 2, Spanish 3, AP Spanish. That does not mean every student needs to go up through AP Spanish, but schools are looking for that continuity. I took AP Spanish, then I switched to, I took Spanish 1, then I switched to ASL 1, then I did Spanish 2. Like we do not encourage switching back and forth. There are some students that start in Spanish 1. We come to understand that Spanish language is hard for them, and they do switch to ASL 1 and then do ASL 2, ASL 3. That is totally fine. But like with math, continuing the course, I recommend they take all 4 years of math in high school. They're required to take 3, as I'll get to on another page. But colleges do look for, are they continuing in those series of courses? Use courses to demonstrate interest and pursue passions. If you're saying, I want to be an engineering major, but Berean offers 3 engineering classes and you took no engineering classes in high school, that doesn't really show that you are really passionate about pursuing that. So take the courses that are going to demonstrate that interest. And then colleges evaluate course selection based on courses offered. We offer a lot of courses, especially AP honors courses. For our size, the amount of AP honors courses that we offer is pretty incredible. Yes, there are some AP honors classes that we don't offer that you could get somewhere else. But we have found that students at other schools struggle to get into those courses. And at Berean, it's easier to get into those courses because we actually make space for that. And we do our best to plan schedules that work for students. But students will not be penalized because they didn't take AP geography, because we don't have AP geography. Colleges look at what we have versus what your student took. Okay, so some course requirements. This is the graduation path, and it is the community college track. So getting into DVC, you just have to graduate or be 18. And so these are the courses that you would take in order simply to be on the graduation track. This isn't our main plan for most of our students, but it is the minimum requirement. So students have to have 4 years of Bible, 2 years of PE, 3 years of social science, 4 years of English, 3 years of math, 2 years of science. And then the LOTE is language other than English. And then they either have to have a year of language other than English or a year of visual performing arts, and then 5 electives. And students, minimum requirement to graduate. This is not what to aim for, but they have to have a D in every class in order to graduate, just to clear that up. Okay, so the University of California and the California State University, this is their A through G list, and this is kind of the gold standard of lists for the most part. If students meet these requirements, they've pretty much met them for every other school. So this is the list that we use. They require at least a C in all A through G list classes. So this, and this includes the Berean graduation requirements. So if they meet this, they've also met the Berean requirements, and they should have at least a C in every class. Minimum to be eligible, not necessarily to get in. So 4 years of Bible, 2 years of PE. Then we have the 3 years of social science, 4 of English, 3 of math, 2 of science, 2 of language other than English, 1 of visual and performing arts, and then 3 electives. And I will say though, some schools do look for 3 years of science. This is the advanced path. If students are really serious about getting into a UC, this is what I would say that they should look at. So they're encouraged to take 2 to 4 AP classes at least, minimum-ish. But you can see here this list as well. And it has the 3 years of science, the 3 years of language other than English, and the 4 years of math. Okay, so Bible, 4 years of Bible for all students. We have freshman Bible, sophomore Bible, junior Bible, and then senior Bible. They can either take Understanding the Times, which is actually church history next year. We're doing a swapping thing, but anyway, or girls can take Walking Word, the all girls Bible study. And then usually we have a trip to Israel. COVID's made that a little bit weird, but I do think that is probably going to be coming back in the hopefully very near future. And students get, by going on that trip and then there's work that goes along with that. And by doing that, they get a year of credit for Bible. And so students that are looking to have more room for elective classes, this is a great opportunity for them to have that. PE, 2 years required. One has to be health and PE. So that's the freshman year PE. We have girls PE and boys PE. And then the second year, they can either take PE, another year in high school, or they can do 2 seasons of a Berean sport, and that counts as that year of PE as well. That can be 2 of the same sport. That can be 2 seasons of different sports. So PE 1 in health, ninth grade boys and girls. Girls only, we have cheer, dance, and a lot of times we have girls PE 2, depending on interest. Boys only, we have weights 1, 2, and 3. 3 is football weights. And then we have co-ed basketball training, athletic training, and advanced athletic training. The social sciences is the A category for the UC's A through G list. 3 years. So world history, a freshman year, the US or AP US junior year, and then US government or AP US government fall semester of senior year, and economics spring semester of senior year. In additional classes that we have here is AP European history for 10th or 12th graders and AP psychology for 12th graders. B, or the English category, 4 years, English 1 for freshmen, sophomore year is English 2 or honors English 2. Junior year, they can do American literature or AP English language. Senior year, they can do British literature, honors Shakespearean literature, or AP English literature. Just a helpful hint, Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo, recommends that you take a 5th year of English. Students that are really serious about getting into Cal Poly, I know it's a big one for our students, they oftentimes do take a 5th year of English, like at DVC, or sometimes they'll take 2 English classes their senior year. Math, 3 required, 4 recommended. Algebra 1A and 1B, that actually counts as 1 year, but students do it in 2. Algebra 1, geometry, and then Algebra 2 or Algebra 2 trig. You can do either one. If you are on the pre-calc track, I recommend Algebra 2 trig. And then pre-calc, AP calculus AB, and then AP statistics. Algebra 1 and geometry from middle school. If your student did these in middle school, those count. So find those grades, you're going to need them. This is our math flow chart, and it just shows the prerequisites to get from one to the other. Okay, and then we have science, 1 year life science, 1 year physical science required, 3rd recommended. Our life science, all of our sophomores take biology. You can do that as summer bio between your freshman and sophomore years, or as the regular biology class your sophomore year. We have anatomy and physiology, and then we have AP biology. AP biology does not replace regular biology. It's a class later on that a lot of students that are interested in going into pre-med will take, and it has a chemistry prerequisite for it. Our physical sciences, we have astronomy, honors astronomy, chemistry, physics, AP Physics 1 and AP Physics 2, depending on interest. Additional science classes, we have AP Computer Science Principles, we have Aerospace Engineering, Intro to Engineering Design, and Principles of Engineering. And some colleges, especially in Oregon and Texas, are requiring that 3rd year, not just recommending, but requiring. Language other than English, LOTE is not required for graduation if they have 1 year of visual and performing arts, but for college stuff, you want to have both. So 2 years with a third recommended. Spanish 1, 2, 3, and AP Spanish language. We offer all of those, as well as American Sign Language 1, 2, and 3. Visual and Performing Arts. This is not required for graduation if you have the language other than English, but for colleges, you need it 1 year. We have beginning drama, advanced drama, and stagecraft. We have band and beginning guitar. We have concert choir, advanced chorale, and abundant life singers. Those fluctuate a little bit, again, depending on interest. We have art 1 and 2, as well as AP 2D art and design, and AP studio art drawing, and AP art history. For those students that really like the computer, we have graphic arts and design 1 and 2. And then we have the college prep electives. This is just an extra year of something from the A through G list, well, A through F part of the list. And it's an extra class in any of those previous categories, A through F, or athletic training and advanced athletic training also meet this requirement. So when selecting electives, choose classes that demonstrate interest in the intended major. Other elective classes that we do offer that do not count on the A through G list, but do fulfill Berean graduation requirements. We have yearbook, we have student government, we have office aid, and teacher's aid. How do students make career choices? PSAT test results can help. So your student receives their PSAT test results back via College Board, and I pass them out in class as well. And that said how they did. And so hopefully that was helpful, but they can use that. They can go to bigfuture.org, and that can give them some information and advice based on their test scores, what they might like to consider. Naviance, like I said, our online college planning tool that your student has access to, or will, if your student's a freshman, they will this semester. It has the Strengthsfinder, it has the career interest profiler, and the cluster finder. Summer jobs and internships are really helpful for this. Summer programs I've sent out in my last several Monday emails. I've talked about different summer opportunities, enrichment opportunities. There's lots of stuff out there. Johnson O'Connor Research Foundation is in the city, and it is a really cool experience. Your student goes there and they actually do tasks, and the researchers watch them and they identify their strengths and weaknesses, and students come back with a big pile of information about themselves and recommended careers. We've had lots of students go. Everyone has always come back and said it was fun and interesting and it was helpful. The Asvab is the military aptitude test, and it is free through your local recruiting office. And that can be really helpful as well. It's a long test, but it recommends careers. And you don't have to be going to the military to take it. Worth the payoff. This is a website where they have college major debt income charts, and you can see if you major in this at this school, are you going to be making enough money to pay off your debts after college? Parents usually find this really interesting. The average college student changes their major 4 times once they get to college. So if your child has no idea what they want to do right now, it's okay. If they are still not sure junior year, it's still okay. The end of their junior year, there's a little bit of pressure to be like, okay, so you got to kind of pick something or decide maybe you're not ready to go to a 4-year school where you have to have a major yet. But even at community college right now, you will still declare a major. So, but it's okay to change the major too. So better to try something and figure out early on that you don't like it and want to change than to like do 4 years and then at the end think, oh my goodness, I don't like anything that I studied. So it's okay for them to change. They shouldn't feel locked in. Naviance, like I said, college and career planning tool. They're registered during the spring of their freshman year. They can research and organize their colleges and the applications through there. They can search for scholarships. They can investigate career options. And then post-secondary options. So not all of our students go to college. The majority do. We have about 33% that go to community college first, 66% go straight to a 4-year school. And then we usually have 1 or 2 that go into missions or the military after school, they graduate, and then 1 that goes into, gets employed, starts working right away, and then apprenticeship programs. And there's also business, technical, or trade schools. So overview of college, private colleges and universities, we have the Christian private schools and the secular private schools. And then for California's public colleges and universities, there are 9 UCs, 23 state Cal States, and 116 California community colleges. Other states obviously have their public schools as well. The Western Undergraduate Exchange Agreement is a great option for families where the student wants to go out of state, but they're concerned about paying out of state prices. This agreement is with certain schools and certain majors where you pay in-state tuition, but can go to school out of state. Christian private schools look at biblical worldviews, which are awesome. Christian professors, good friendships, role models, mentors. So it tends to be a really nurturing environment. 4 years of private school may cost less than 5 to 6 years of public college. We are finding that for some students, it takes them 5 or 6 years to get out of in public school because they can't get the classes that they need because schools are really impacted, meaning that there are more students that are trying to take classes than they actually have room for, even though they have admitted the students. And so when you are kind of coming up with what can our family afford, don't be put off by the sticker price of a private school, because it could end up being that your child actually will take less time to get out and it may end up costing less. More institutional aid than public schools for sure. They have a lot more scholarships available. There are some resources in the College and Career Center, and also that website's real helpful. And then secular private schools, they usually have good academic reputations. They're smaller class sizes, again, relationships with the professors. 4 years of private school, again, may cost less than 5 to 6 at public colleges. Some of them will even guarantee that you will get out in 4 years. More institutional aid. There's resources in CCC. There's some websites. These are great opportunities to share the faith and research Christian organizations on campus. There are Christian organizations on campuses. I highly recommend that your student get involved in one and that they find a church when they get to school. The public schools, the UCs, the CSUs, and the CCCs, California Community Colleges, less expensive typically to start with. California Community Colleges are actually free for the first 2 years. They may be closer to home. They might have more resources and opportunities available. They might have a greater selection of majors. They, again, have great opportunities to share faith, and they do have Christian organizations. So the UCs, there are 9 campuses, and they serve typically the top 10 to 12% of high school graduates. They require a rigorous high school course load, meeting or in reality exceeding the A through G list. If you meet the minimum A through G list and you get the Cs, it's not going to be enough. 11 of the 15 required courses have to be completed before senior year. Our students are on track to do that. When I write schedules with them, I write ones that put them on track to do it. It's not, this isn't an overwhelming thing or something that you should be worried about, but it is something to keep in the back of your mind. They require a 3.0 minimum GPA. They actually at this point are not currently for this next year, they are not using the SAT or the ACT. This has changed a little bit and it may change again, but don't worry about it yet. Just keep it in the back of your mind. The application period, it opens August 1st and they submit between November 1st and 30th. It is $70 per campus right now. And there's their website. They are highly competitive. The California State University's 23 campuses, they serve the top third of high school graduates. A grade of C or better in all A through G list classes are required. Keep in mind too, these really vary a lot based on GPA and competitiveness. So some of them, Cal Poly San Luis Obispo is more competitive than some of the UCs. However, some of them are much less competitive. They actually are, again, currently not using the SAT or the ACT. They've hiatus both of those. And the application begins October 1st and goes to November 30th. And there's their website. They have what's called the Redirection Program. This is excellent. Basically what this means is that if your student applies to at least one Cal State, they will either get into that one, or if they do not get into any of the ones they applied to, they will be offered a spot at 2 different ones once the application period are over. Basically, it's a backup plan. For $70, you have a backup plan knowing that you will get into one of the state schools as long as you have at least a C or better and met their minimum course requirements. The competition, like I said, varies greatly between campuses. So this short basic application costs $70 per campus, acts as an excellent backup plan for Redirection Program eligible students. And the community colleges serve our geographic area, DVC, LMC, and this Contra Costa Community College. They are non-competitive admissions. Everyone gets in as long as they are graduate or 18. There's no entrance exam required. You apply the spring of senior year, and they can be guaranteed a spot at certain UCs and CSUs using a TAG program, a transfer agreement guarantee program. Choosing a college, research is important. Obviously, attend college fairs, view the websites, visit with the college reps. College visits are so significant. According to Student Poll, they are the #1 influence on final decisions. Students usually visit a campus and they have a pretty clear feeling of this could be a good fit or this would not be a good fit. I really recommend that spring of senior year, students pick the top, like their top 2 or 3 choices that they've gotten into, and they make that those final visits over spring break to really see and cement in their decision. So they make their final selections when they apply. They do usually do 1 to 2 reach schools, 3 to 5 target schools, and 2 to 3 safety schools. And then the SATs and ACTs, again, overview. This just breaks down what kind of parts they have. The CLT, Classic Learning Test, is a newer test that more Christian colleges are using that can be taken from the comfort of your home. And then we have the process of exams. If they're going to take them, start no later than spring of junior year. They have until December 31st of their senior year. And different preparation, all of our students do the PSAT, their freshman, sophomore, and junior year to practice. It's the 8-9 their freshman year, and then the regular one, sophomore and junior year. Students that do well in the PSAT junior year can theoretically get to the National Merit Scholarship Program. And you can use books, websites, workshops to get ready for those. Typically, students who need the test take their preferred test 2 to 4 times. Okay, when they are doing entrance exams, use your Brain email address because you already have a College Board account through that email address typically, and you want your College Board account. You only want to have one College Board account. So your PSAT, SAT, and all AP tests should all be under the same one. Fee waivers all are available. There are services for students with disabilities, and our school code is there that they use to register. And okay, entering college with credits. We have AP tests. If students take AP tests and pass, they can get college credits. They can do dual enrollment courses. We have several at Berean. They can take CLEP, or college level examination program, where if they have some area of a lot of understanding, like if your student speaks Chinese and they want to take the CLEP test for Chinese, they can actually take the test with their current knowledge, and they can earn college credits that way. Community college courses, every year we have students who are concurrently enrolled in DVC or other community colleges and earning credits that count both for high school and for college. This is a great opportunity. They should keep in mind, if they're going to do this, the DVC is a real college, which means that it is really college level courses, and whatever they do at DVC and get on a transcript will go with them. So if they decide they're going to take a easy summer class at DVC and that easy summer class is a D at the end, that's going to be a problem. So if they're going to take it, they just need to go in with realistic expectations and the understanding that they're going to have to work hard and do well in that class, because it does matter. It is a college class. And then some summer programs can also earn college credits. And here is my information. If you have questions, please send me an email and I am happy to answer your questions. Thank you so much for joining me.